Well, friends, it's Thursday evening, which means it's time to say good evening to Mr. Allan and um, full disclosure, we're doing this at about 5 o'clock this afternoon, so about 3 hours or so. Mr. Brzezinski, there has been a lot transpiring in this country since the last time you and I sat. You're watching on?
Yes, well, I have a lot of time on my hands, obviously.
I know you have time on your hands, but let me tell you, it feels so good not to have to get up early in the morning to, prepare for a program and stuff like that. And actually, just after I finish the program at night, get to bed early. I hope this state of emergency lasts for a little while so that I can better prepare myself to live the lifestyle that you are living, a life of retirement, sir.
Well, to start with, I was up very early this morning so that I could take my prescribed exercise within the hour and a half, I believe, that you are allowed for the purposes of exercise. I did meet a few other walkers on the road, and we observed the social distancing. I put both my arms out to establish a perimeter of 6 feet around me, which led to some merriment. So if you go out early in the morning, George, I think that is when you need to see what's going on. You see the sun come up, and after all, it's only a limited state of emergency.
By the way, thank you very much for that photograph that you sent this morning with the caption, "The sun did rise this morning." Yeah.
Day one.
Day one.
Day one.
Yeah.
And with regard to your hope that this will last for a long time, remember, the Prime Minister did announce it's for 21 days.
Yeah.
And given the regulations under which I believe the limited state of emergency is in effect, this has to be renewed every 7 days.
That's right.
So that we can expect, I take it, a renewal next week, Wednesday.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I know that the health minister is not very happy with the response from the public, not just the health minister, the PM as well, and that's the reason why they implemented the state of emergency last night. But I'll tell you, this morning somebody sent me a video of the bus terminal downtown, the bus terminus. Allan, I mean, you could have fired a cannon up and down that place and you ain't hitting a fly, Nobody.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah.
I was very pleased actually because the area was clean. It was unrecognizable.
Absolutely.
And at least the bus terminal, it looks as though the lockdown is in effect there. But we've seen 2 press conferences today. I'll deal with the second one first. That was the one hosted by the RGPF, where they said that they did in fact arrest a bus operator for overloading. Because as you know, the announcement with regard to social distancing on public transport was that the authorities would allow the buses to run, but then they needed to ensure that there was 1 passenger in each row, and they needed to be staffed in order to at least achieve a minimum distance between the passengers. Naturally, some buses said they're not running with 5 or 6 people in the bus, so they're done with that. But the operator who decided that he was going to pack up his bus was stopped, he was arrested, and I suppose he has been charged. I think one of the police officers did say, though, that it is not just the bus operator. What is going through the minds of the passengers who, seeing that the bus clearly had no capacity for social distancing, still went and placed themselves in danger by getting onto the bus. That makes no sense at all. Anyway, so the police have announced that they will be aggressively enforcing the regulations.
Did you mention a minute ago that somebody was charged for overloading?
Yes, the bus operator, because he had more than the 5 or 6 people, which would allow for a minimum sort of social distancing on the bus.
Okay.
So I guess he had his usual 16 to 18 passengers. I don't know, but nevertheless.
I can't understand. I haven't ridden the bus in about 2 weeks, and I cannot understand why is it people still insist on riding them. I went down to the terminal, I think it was sometime last week with a camera. And yes, I did notice that some of the buses were only carrying about 5 or 6 people. But then I also noticed that there were buses which were jammed to the hilt, like they normally are, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, leaving the bus terminal.
Yep.
Now,
Yep. So,
go ahead.
yeah, so the message has to get through. I think the acting commissioner of police did state that following the arrest of that particular bus operator, that the news of the arrest had spread like a coronavirus.
Yes.
No, he didn't say so. I'm saying so. But nevertheless, he said that it appeared to have had an effect among the other operators who might otherwise have considered trying to do the same thing in order to make a quick buck. And I think it's important for us to repeat that it is not about the individual and the individual's convenience or comfort. It is the responsibility of the individual to attempt not to infect others. So, in order to do that, you have to make absolutely certain that you don't put yourself in a position where you may become infected. Because remember, you can be asymptomatic. You might be sneezing and coughing or not, but the point is that unless you keep that physical distance, you are putting others at risk.
Okay.
And I think the point has been made that while people with mild symptoms comprise the majority of cases, that 15% may require medical attention, that 5% may become critical. The ones with the mild symptoms are the ones who are putting the rest of us at risk. And that is why they are required to self-isolate. And I've seen some discussions as to, oh, you need to quarantine these people. And no, you can't quarantine them because the quarantine is reserved for people who need medical care. The people who have mild symptoms are supposed to self-isolate, not congregate in a rum shop. And this is where I understand from the press conference that the police will be redoubling their efforts because there are too many irresponsible people in this country whose sole concern seems to be how to make a quick buck. Now, for example, many of our village rum shops also sell groceries.
Okay.
So as long as they're open, unless some legislation, some additional SR&O is passed, as long as they're open, people can come and buy groceries and they can buy rum. But the idea is you must not consume the rum on the premises because that means you will be in an assembly. And the regulations require that if the shops are open, social distancing must be maintained. This is not a time to be knocking glass or bottle or anything with anybody else. So the police have a job on their hands, that's for sure. But anyhow, to get...
Go ahead.
No, I was moving on from that. You wanted to say something about the police?
I guess it's going to take a while before it sinks into some people, and I hope the police also absorb their responsibility because even though the state of emergency only went into effect yesterday, we had been told to maintain social distancing several days ago. And when I went downtown, I think it was on Monday afternoon, I saw, yes, the streets were pretty bare, but in the area near to where Ann goes by the bus terminal is, there were people gathered and police almost in their midst. I mean, just nonchalantly walking along, despite the gathering. I mentioned on the program here this week, I can't understand why people feel it is so necessary to speak to somebody and you have to be in your face, You're told 6 feet.
Yeah.
But in your face. And then
Yep.
if you saw Sharon on the program last night, she was mentioning that somewhere up in St. Paul's, there was a situation where there were some guys playing jab. And I don't know if they were
This
arrested,
this
but I know
is
that
this
they
is
didn't come.
unbelievable.
Huh?
Yeah, this is unbelievable. I cannot understand why people would think it is necessary. We in Lent to start with,
Yeah.
and Jab is supposed to be in August. So I don't know if they decided they started their carnival early.
You
But
pick them up and throw them in the
nevertheless,
slammer, they're going to say that you're infringing on their rights.
well, I actually saw a video of a street in a city, some Indian city, I don't know which one. And the police vehicle stopped because they saw a man on a scooter. And I think about 4 policemen came out with some long butu. And they turned him around to go back home.
Yeah. He got some.
I mean,
I saw that.
yeah. Well, as we say, he looked fine.
Yeah. So you were allowed
But
to move on.
to move on from the police now, so the other press conference was with the Ministry of Health and their COVID-19 response team. It was chaired by the minister, who I thought acquitted himself very well for a change, except for one question that he completely danced around. He's been well trained, I guess, because of the company he keeps. And it had to do with how many test kits do you have and how many test kits have been utilized in the testing process. And I mean, he made Fred Astaire look small. But I have to say I was impressed with the general conduct of the press conference, the information that was provided, the professionals, Dr. George Mitchell, Dr. Francis Martin, Dr. Sean Charles, I thought were credible. And I believe that we are being led in the correct response or responses. I do not believe that we can afford a complete shutdown of the country because frankly, where would people get food? This will be coming up to the end of the month. I don't know how many business places have processed their payrolls and whether or not the funds have been transferred to the banks. People need to have money at the end of the month. So our responsibility as citizens is to ensure that we follow the regulations and avoid gathering together, because this is where the community transmission will happen. Stay home unless you're going to the grocery or to the pharmacy or to the gas station if you have to get fuel. Other than that, take your hour and a half sometime during the day to engage in exercise, get some sun, get some fresh air, and apart from that, stay home. The one good thing is that you can stay in touch, because that is important for our mental health, that you can stay in touch using the technology in the same manner that you and I are speaking now. So you will not be able to be in somebody's face, exchanging droplets with them. Stay home. I have to also remark on the fact that it is amazing how many experts, self-professed experts, are popping up all over the place. One of whom attempted to impress Dr. Francis Martin by inquiring whether or not they were doing molecular testing. Well, his response to that was classic. I could almost hear him thinking, oh, is jargon you want? Well, it's jargon you go get. And he dropped some scientific thing in detail. It was beautiful to behold. The only thing he was missing in the end was if he had a microphone, he could have just dropped it.
And Francis is such a laid-back, quiet guy. Yeah. You know,
But that
go ahead.
No, I was saying, so in conclusion, that I thought that press conference was informative and professionally conducted. Naturally, you have the conspiracy theorists who are all over the place saying, oh, they knew about these things long ago and they're hiding information from people. No. The responsible protocol is that where people exhibit symptoms, they have to be tested, and when the tests come back, they will be either negative or positive, as the case may be. But until such time as you have a positive result, you can't talk about how many people are positive or not. And I was particularly heartened by the report as to the efforts at contact tracing that the ministry has been engaged in. And again, the responsibility is ours as individuals, since all of the cases reported so far have been imported in that they were in contact with the person who came from the UK. So far, and keep your fingers crossed, there has been no community transmission. So we keep those people in self-isolation. We have been told that they are under observation to make sure that they stay inside. And I suspect that their neighbors will ensure that they stay inside. I hope they don't stone them, but we'll see.
We'll have to get some of those Indian cops over here with those.
The long butu.
Yeah. Something I want to touch on. You mentioned, the rise of experts in this space. I mean, there's no shortage of homegrown recipes, which supposedly will cure, if not, kill you. I received.
You're not talking about rivers.
No. It's strange. I haven't seen too many talking about the use of alcohol. But, people talk about everything from onions to turmeric to
Garlic.
Yeah. And, those are things that I like, Allan. But some of the concoctions I've seen, while they may be wonderful, they ain't going anywhere near my mouth. And this morning somebody sent me one supposedly from Italy. And I thought, try wheel and come again. Sending me a cure from Italy. The country of the highest death rate. I mean, please. But there may be value in these things, I mean, come on. You and I who grew up here.
All of these, Yeah, all of these herbs and spices help to boost the immune system.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the Food and Nutrition Council has indicated that at this time we should try and increase our intake of brightly colored
Yes.
vegetables and have more fruit and so forth. And exercise, get some fresh air. Remember, this virus replicates when it gets into your lungs, and that is the damage that it will cause in your lungs. So when you see some stories about, oh, when it gets into your throat, drink hot water and it will wash it down your throat into your stomach, and the stomach acid will kill the virus. No, the virus not going into your stomach. It's into your lungs it's going. So try getting some hot water in your lungs and you're drowned.
Did you see the homegrown test where you're supposed to be able to tell whether or not you have the virus simply by taking a deep breath in, holding it for 10 seconds, and when you let it out, if you don't have any discomfort or you're not coughing, then you're good to go. You saw that one?
Yes, so I immediately tested it. And I held my breath for 40 seconds and I said, well, wait a minute. It's only 10 and I've done 4 times that, so I think I'm good to go.
Yeah, man. And
I wouldn't, based on that experiment, I wouldn't think that 10 seconds is enough.
I also saw some advice this morning on how you're supposed to do your grocery shopping, and this was not local. This is something that came out of the United States. You're supposed to buy 2 weeks' supply of food at any given time. And essentially, when you get back home, you leave the bags at the door and then take the goods out, sanitize them, and then put them on the kitchen table. Go ahead.
Yes.
Hear you thinking.
Yes, I am thinking, who has the money to buy 2 weeks' groceries at one time?
Yeah.
So,
I saw it.
and in any event, if you have 2 weeks' groceries, how are you getting it home?
Clyde Harvey.
Yeah, so we could leave that one overseas.
Yeah.
Every couple of days, I will pick up my fresh food.
Let me ask you this: since people aren't using the buses a lot anymore, what about private vehicles? I mean, you're certainly not going to maintain 6 feet in a private vehicle. Thought about that?
No, definitely not. That is why private vehicles should only be carrying family members.
Yeah,
Because I'm certainly not going to stop to give anybody a lift unless I have a pickup truck. In which case they'll have to go in the back of in the tray of the pickup truck. But that could work.
If you see Brzezinski, don't go thumbing her out. You're going in the back. Oh, Allan. All right. So what else is up your sleeve this evening?
Well, I think the limited state of emergency has overtaken nearly all else, but not quite, because I don't know if you've had the opportunity to view a most misleading animated video production attacking WRB and GRENADA. It didn't actually indicate the origin or who the producer of it is, but it's easy enough to connect the dots. And it is really an appalling attempt at deception, if not outright lies. And I don't expect the people who produced it to be ashamed of themselves, because they are incapable of shame, in that the number of lies they have promoted onto the people of Grenada is it's almost routine for them. So I am hoping that people will treat it with the contempt that it deserves. And if you can find where it says who produced it, then I would be interested, because I think if you're going to produce something like that, you ought to be able to take responsibility for it. One of the voices of the cartoon characters, the person voicing it, is immediately recognizable.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for the individual that he has had to stoop to this level in order to accept. Well, I don't know if he got filthy lucre or 30 pieces of silver, but nevertheless, there are people who will do anything. There are people who will do anything for a buck.
Maybe a couple of rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah, that valuable. But then you know what has happened recently is that following the guidelines regarding sneezing into your elbow, sneezing and coughing into your elbow, when you consider the run on toilet paper, it just goes to show how many people out there can't tell the difference between where you use the toilet paper and the elbow.
Very observant.
You saw that one coming.
Yes, sir. I saw that one coming. Thank you, Mr. Vizinski. All right, AB, let's saddle up and get ready for the long haul. I am very, very optimistic that when this is all over and done with, there are going to be a lot of changes in this country. Not just this country, but around the world. I think, the way we live our lives, I think we'll have to change. You agree?
Absolutely. And there are two things in particular I want to point to. That is the appalling state of our healthcare system and the neglect of agriculture in this country. The senator who is responsible for agriculture was bemoaning the fact that in spite of all the old talk about the rapid response unit against predial larceny and task force and everything else, he was saying, is joke all you're making. You expect us to assist you with food security in this limited state of emergency, and predial larceny is our biggest obstacle. Straight old talk.
I think the virus has definitely refocused the importance of agriculture. I think many of us, including yours truly, will have to start getting our fingers dirty again. One of the changes I really hope to see too is shifting the overwhelming focus we have on tourism. Look at what this little virus has done to tourism in the last couple of weeks. I can tell you the last time I saw a cruise ship down here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the hotels,
yeah.
and the medical school.
Yeah.
So you're right. This is a lot of changes are going to have to be made.
Yeah. But we shall survive.
But we'll get through it. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, AB.
Okay. Bye now. Have a good night.
Yeah, I'll try to have a good night. I'm in self-isolation, so I'm doing fine. Take care, buddy.
Okay.